Hello, my friends. My name is Cheryl Spengler, and this podcast explores the question, what does Northern Virginia have to offer me? Hello, and welcome to Life in Northern Virginia. My name is Cheryl Spengler, and today I might save you $60,000 to $70,000. Listen to this podcast if you are a renter, if you are a current buyer out there approved, ready to buy a new construction. Even if you're thinking about buying a home that already exists, that is a resale, this could save you $60,000 to $70,000. I'm going to tell you a story about a man who bought a house 16 years ago, a new construction home. It was basically almost built. It was like a spec home, almost completed, waiting for someone to come in, put an offer in, pick the flooring, pick the paint, stuff like that. But the house itself was already existing and had just been built. And this small custom builder had a very good reputation at the time. And without calling him out, which I will in the description if you want to read who it is, they had a good reputation. They actually lived next door. He had bought this big tract of land, split it up into 5 parcels, and was slowly building spec homes to basically make money. Legitimate thing custom builders do. He just happened to live next door. And this buyer comes in, puts an offer in, does the finishing touches, whether it's granite counters, colors, whatever, gets a certification that the septic system, because it was on well and septic. So we're talking about buying a home from a new construction, buying a new construction home or resale that has well and septic, specifically septic. Don't be afraid of septic systems, but this is something that could save you $60,000 to $70,000. So the buyer comes in, they put an offer, septic system's already in place, because obviously here's the order in which things have to happen. Before you as a buyer put an offer on a property that is completed, whether it's new construction or resale, the builder comes in, finds a piece of land, basically has a soil engineer come out and determine what kind of septic can be put on this land to support a home. It's either a conventional septic, which is one that costs less and it's easy for the sewage to seep into the ground and disseminate. And if that is not the case and the soil is very hard, like it's full of clay and stuff, the soil engineer will determine, well, it does not perk, for septic. It perks for alternative septic. And so without giving you an entire podcast on the differences between conventional and alternative septic, just know alternative septic is for homes built on land where the land is very difficult for sewage to seep into and drain into and go into the land and just, and so they have to build an alternative method of distributing and getting rid of the waste from the home. Now, the way a septic system is identified in relation to the home is by how many bedrooms the home is going to have. So if the builder says, well, I have house plans right here, and I'm going to build a 2-bedroom home, or I'm going to build a 4-bedroom home, or whatever, then they have a soil engineer come out and say, can a septic system for these house plans I have, 2-bedroom, 4-bedroom, be put in? And if so, what kind of system can be put in, and how much is that system going to be? And then the builder basically gets the entire, the engineer, the septic company, the material cost. They design the entire septic system based on a couple different choices based on the land. They present that to the builder. The builder decides which one to put in, and he basically pays them money. And I will tell you that a conventional septic will run a builder somewhere around between $7,500 and $10,000, maybe up to $12,000. Whereas an alternative septic will run a builder, if it's a 2-bedroom home, it'll run them around $25,000. If it's a 4-bedroom home, which requires a much larger septic field in the ground and designed system, a larger septic tank, a larger pump, items are more robust, maybe more complex, it will run $60,000 to $70,000. State-of-the-art alternative septic system right now in the state of Virginia will run $70,000, possibly even $80,000 if it's for a 4-bedroom, because again, the septic system is built based on the number of bedrooms. So you could have a 4-bedroom home with 10 bathrooms, okay? Because we're talking about wastewater here. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many bathrooms you have in a home. It's the number of bedrooms that determines the number of perk that the soil needs to accommodate. And the reason for that, probably too much information, but basically the reason for that is because for every bedroom in a home, there's 2 people that are assumed to be occupying that bedroom. So if you have a 2-bedroom home, that's a total of 4 people, 2 per bedroom. That septic system, better perk for a 2-bedroom, and it better handle, up to 4 people. Whereas a 4-bedroom home would need to handle up to 8 people. 2, 4, 6, 8. And that septic system in the ground needs to be built for a 4-bedroom perk, handling 8 people, taking showers, going to the bathroom, using water, dishes, clothes, stuff like that. Anything that's wastewater will drain out into the septic field. And so this guy in this story, 16 years ago, buys a home. The septic was already in place. The house was already in place. 4-bedroom, all the health department, stamp of approval, the soil engineer, the septic company, the builder, everything. Perfect. Guy moves in with his wife and 2 children, 4 people, and lives a happy life. And 16 years later, he decides he wants to move. So he puts the house on the market at a very, very good profit, considering what he bought it for. The market at that point had already gone up, gone down, and went back up. And puts the home on, probably would make around $350,000. And the buyer comes in and gives a full price offer on the home that he's selling now, and does a septic inspection, which is standard when you sell a home with septic and well. The buyer does a septic and well, actually the seller does the septic and well inspection, but the septic inspection comes back, the buyer and the lender on the buyer's side sees that, and lo and behold, this septic inspection shows a 2-bedroom perk with a 4-bedroom home. And the whole story starts at that point, because it's like, okay, well, first of all, why would a builder willingly and knowingly build a house with 4 bedrooms where it could potentially have 8 people in it and only install a 2-bedroom perk septic system? Well, one main reason, save money, commit fraud with the health department, because the health department, the soil engineer, the building inspector should have found this. They're the ones that say, let me see your house plans. Okay, you're having the soil engineer create the septic. That's great. Stamp of approval on the health department and the septic company. They're just following directions based on what the builder provides house plans for, what he states will be in the home, gets a certificate of occupancy from the building inspector, who should have physically gone out to the property and verified that, yes, in fact, that 2-bedroom house plan shows exactly what you built, Mr. Builder, a 2-bedroom house. But no, that builder actually did a 4-bedroom house. And this was already in place and everything when the buyer bought. So my question is, what checks and balances does a building and does a local county government, okay, have to make sure this doesn't happen? Because now what's happened is that the seller, the guy who's owned the home for 16 years, is being told by the buyers that your home is only perked for 2 bedrooms. Well, it's not up to county code. Not just to mention that, it could potentially create non-stop alarms if it's overfilled and overflowed. I mean, if too many people are using it and providing wastewater, it won't be able to empty into the septic field fast enough, and it'll back up into the tank, eventually into the pipe that goes up to the house, and eventually into the house. And now you're going to have, no offense, but shit all in your house. And then, of course, you're going to file a claim with your homeowner's insurance, and it's going to be a full-on home replacement because you've damaged you've overflowed the toilet with waste, which overflowed onto the floor, which crept to the walls, which crept to the other floor, whichever's outside the bathroom. You're talking about massive replacement of items based on what could potentially happen if too many people live in a home that is parked for lesser bedrooms. So, long story short, this guy's out of luck. He's out of luck for filing any kind of lawsuit, of course, because he goes and checks with the health department, and he finds out that, in fact, this builder under-perked almost all of the homes that he built. So everyone who moved in thought they were getting the proper bedroom perk septic system, actually got an under-perked septic system, which means they really potentially could only have less people in the home. But aside from all the how many people can live in each bedroom thing, the actual county provides regulations and fines and bills the homeowner. If you live in a home and the perk does not match the number of bedrooms that you have in your home, and your septic fails for any reason, like the backup I just mentioned, you, the homeowner, regardless of who you bought it from, regardless of the due diligence that you did or did not do, you, the homeowner, will be required to upgrade that septic system, which is the cost of $60,000 to $70,000. And if you happen to buy a home or own a home right now in the state of Virginia, or any state, but I'm talking about life in Northern Virginia here, and you're wondering, well, how do I find out how much my septic system is perked for, is officially stamped approval, bedroom perk? You go to your local government website, Prince William County Gov, Fairfax County Gov, Fauquier County Gov, whatever it is, and you go to the health department and you email them and you ask them for the septic records for that property, either by property address or tax ID number. Anyone can help you do this. Reach out to me. I can help you do this in literally any state. But in the state of Virginia, you go to your county website, you go to the health department, you email them and say, hey, I live in this property, or it's public information, actually. You can request health records for any property in the state of Virginia, 15 at a time if you want. And so you request these records. It comes back to you in like a 50-page document, which is the complete stamped soil engineer, septic system, health department, builder items that was originally done when the septic was installed, and it tells you straight up what is the max amount of bedrooms that this property is currently perked for, how much waste can seep into the ground using this particular septic system, and how many bedrooms is it meant for. That's what it's telling you, and you'll be able to find out immediately. I mean, the only other way is that if you go to buy a house, new construction, okay, I don't care if the builder tells you we are good to go. You go to the health department and request those septic records. Because right now, be skeptical of every builder and every homeowner reselling. Not that they know it and knowingly are selling it. They may not know it in the case of like this story of this guy. He didn't know it. But here's what an attorney said to this homeowner 16 years later. I'm sorry, Mr. Homeowner. First of all, you're out of the statute of limitations because it's been 16 years. And the information that you're trying to, let's say, get the builder to pay for right now, even if you were in your 2 to 5 year statute of limitations, was discoverable. Meaning you could have public knowledge you could have discovered it was a 2-bedroom perk even though you're living in a 4-bedroom home any minute of any day by going to the health department. If the information is discoverable and was discoverable from day one, it's kind of up to you to do that discovering. And if not, then it's like, well, why didn't you know it was public information? You could have pulled this 16 years ago. If you are buying a new construction or a resale home and you've only lived in it for 2 years, and you listen to my podcast and you're like, well, heck, I need to find out, what is my home perked for? What's my septic system perked for? And you find out that someone under perked and and saved cash when they were building your home and defrauded the health department and the local government by doing this? Maybe you somehow, the builder had the building inspector in their back pocket that said, oh yeah, I went and looked at it and it's a 2-bedroom, but really it's a 4, and they just approved it anyway because the builder and the building inspector somehow got something going. You never know. If you're buying new construction, if you're buying resale, get a septic inspection, and in the case of a new construction, go straight to the health department, free information here, and request a copy of the septic so that you can see the max number of bedrooms the septic system is perked for. Otherwise, 10 years later, regulations change even more strict. You're going to go sell the home and you're going to have 2 choices. You're either going to have to reduce what you're selling to a 2-bedroom price, or because legally the agent that's representing you and the homeowner that's selling, it's against the law to sell a house saying it's a 4-bedroom when there's only a 2-bedroom part. You'll have to either, 1, lower the price of your home to what it is actually perked for, 2-bedroom, or 2nd, you'll have to spend $60,000 to $70,000 to expand the current septic to be proper for the number of bedrooms that are actually built. This is a huge issue, and it is going on way more than you think. And all you have to do is be aware. And when you buy, no matter what you buy, new construction or resale, 1, if you're resale, get a septic inspection. And 2, if you're buying new construction, call the health department. No matter what everyone's telling you, no matter what documents you receive, get with the health department and have them send you the actual septic documents. Double check that the number of bedrooms that are in the home that you're purchasing matches the number of bedrooms your septic system perks for. Otherwise, this could cost you even more than $60,000 to $70,000 because you may end up having to file a claim with your insurance when it backs up, or when the pumps break, or who knows. So I hope this information is valuable. This is what happens when we don't double check. Professionals, builders, large companies with great reputations are still saving and skimping and defrauding the local government and the home buyers and the home sellers in this area. And it's up to you to do the due diligence and do your research. And that is the goal of this podcast, is to give you the information that you might need. If you hear of anyone going through this right now, if anyone that you know is going through a failed septic system issue, first thing I would do is go to the health department and find out how many bedrooms is it actually perked for. Maybe it's under perked. That's why it's having all those problems. I'll see you guys.